Hello, good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. It's Dad here in Saranda. Hi, Pepe. Pepe just came up on my leg and just like did one of these. So Pepe and Priya are sitting right here, and they do this thing now where they just lay face to face and they just go and they just do this mouth thing, and they're being goofy. So you might hear them. I don't know, but I'm not going to stop them because they're in their joy, and I love that. So I have a message today. I have just a follow up from the previous peace talks, the respawn that got a lot of attention as far as those who watched it. I'm going to share a little bit about that because I got some really great feedback, and because of that feedback, it sparked an idea that I think will help us all come together as a community. So I have a couple of announcements, and I'm really starting to feel inspired to build this community in a completely different way than we've been led to build community online. So hey, Northern California. I love it. I'm so excited. These earrings are hurting my ears. I'm getting really, my body isn't accepting things like they used to. It's not accepting earrings as much as I used to. And I have all these earrings that I love, but when I wear them just for peace talks, it hurts. Okay, I'm going to jump in. So I'm going to start out with a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to give a little bit of a follow up from the supernal channel. The respawn message, and just kind of, it's funny because I want to say that it was anticlimactic. Like the whole process of the respawn process was super amazing for me. But then it's just been kind of like beep. Like there hasn't been a whole lot of connection since then, but I have the answer as to why. So that'll come out in today's message. But first, let me start with a couple of announcements. I'm going to hold on one second. I just want to fix these curtains because it comes like right down. I didn't make it any better, but I'm just going to go with it because the sun's going to move soon. So the first announcement is I have switched onto on my website. I am now offering supernal channel sessions. And they are the elevation of what I have been doing. Just, when I first started doing sessions with people years ago, they were hypnotherapy, like just traditional hypnotherapy. And they just kept evolving from there. And have taken workshops, I've done workshops. And now as I've put together the sessions that I've been doing, probably in this last year has really been a culmination of different workshop techniques, processes using different modalities, art, just all kinds of different modalities. It doesn't matter what they are, and blending them into the sessions to pull different messages from different ways that we can pull messages out from the clients that I'm working with. And because of the evolution of my own consciousness, the expansion of it this year, the way in which I'm able to access through the supernal channel, different messages, and then combining our supernal channels together to extract even more information and data and light has really become clearer and clearer to me. So these supernal channel sessions, I am going to charge. I'm not going to do those donation based because, quite frankly, I have to support myself. So I'm going to support myself with these sessions, and yet I'm going to still be here doing peace talks. And I'm also going to invite you to another way for our community to come together here in a little bit. The second thing that I want to introduce is on 11/11, which is coming up this Friday. I got the message to I want to come together and really connect into this portal of light. This is the portal of light on 11/11 that opens up like the tsunami. It's where like the dam gets opened up for us of light and energy that pushes us through to the December solstice, December 21st. So if you were around last year when we were doing the daily tune-ins, there was like the 40 days of massive energy that we were in, and we were working through that together. This is the same period of time, and yet I would like to start this with a specific message that we put together in a collective. The other thing that I have found, an intimate collective coming together with the purpose of, with an intentional purpose, is really, really powerful. So I want to come in to these peace talks with a really, really powerful message that is not just channeled through me, but is channeled through our community. And when we're two or more are gathered, there I am. We are each a unique expression of the I am presence of the Creator. And when we come together in a circle of I am presences, that channel just expands, and the container to receive information widens exponentially. So I want to assemble a massive supernal channel through an intimate circle of those of us to spend 90 minutes together to pull in the message, the intention that's going to flow us into the December 21st solstice. And so what I'm doing is I have an 1111 Supernal Collective event that I have put together for 1111. I have the link down here. It's going to be I'm pulling in 5 other souls, including then myself. So there's 6. So it ties into Tesla's 369 with with a portal, and these dogs. And we are going to pull in a message for our entire 40 days, pretty much, that will carry us through the 40 days of that tidal wave of energy. So you will be helping the inspiration of the peace talks, as well as this collective who comes together on peace talks, whether live or on the recording. So this is a big ask, and so we're going to do that together and see where that takes us. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be an interesting twist to these peace talks. Okay. I'm going to move on to just kind of giving you a little bit of an update since the last, because the last peace talks with the respawn idea was very powerful. The energy of that was extremely powerful, and I received a few messages from a few of you. And what I love so much, it sparked an idea that I'm going to share with you after I share the message. But what I loved so much is I got videos from a couple of you, like, because you're like, I can't even write this down. I want to just get this out. And I want to share a couple of tidbits that I got from one of Tarla in our community. And her video she had 2 points in there that I thought I wanted to add on to the message that called Respawn. If you haven't watched that, I'd suggest going back, because all of these peace talks, they're all now building on each other. So it's if you're coming into the middle, you'll pick up, I think. But I think it would be advantageous to maybe even start at episode 1, so you're understanding the progression of these messages that we're getting, because what I'm finding is they are really building on, and there's a process that's being illuminated for us. There's a process that's there's another word than illuminated, but there's a process that's we are being trained in, like we are being helped in, and this process builds on the last. So one of the things she brought in, she said, she was saying how, the idea of an old soul and then new soul was like not quite resonating. So when she was going through her own process, she said she got the message that it's like an archetype, like an evolutionary archetype. And as soon as I heard her say that, I was like, yeah, I get that. Like that works for me too. So if there's like anything, because I even said in the Respawn episode, there could be some trepidation of the feeling of like, I don't want to be soulless as I do this respawn process. So if that's not quite working for you, her words, Tarla's words were, you know, the archetype. You're updating your archetype. So that really worked for me. The other thing she also got that it felt very truthful to me as well is she said she got that this is kind of like a manual update. Like we have to activate this process of respawning when we need to recharge and we need to kind of bring in a new archetype from the bench, so to speak. You know, when our current archetype, our current soul is tired and weary, we can then say it's time for a new one. I need a sub. I need an upgrade into the next archetype. That this for now is a manual process for us to build. She didn't say this, but this is how I understand it: to build our awareness of how our systems are working. Eventually, just like in the inverted matrix, when we do or we have a thought or a belief that may not be serving us, but we think it enough, it just becomes automatic. This is where this process that we're talking about manually, we have to change all parts of us manually by being in awareness and thinking and not thinking and feeling when do I need to update, when do I need to purge that feeling, when do I need to do. So we're understanding how our system works, but eventually once we just kind of keep doing that, it becomes automatic. So this is going to be an automatic process for us as we continue to evolve and descend into the higher realms of reality. But for now, it's a manual process. So I liked that addition to the message on respawning. It also the other thing too, as many of you, a few of you were sharing your respawn process, I also there were so many different perspectives, and I think almost everyone said it wasn't as like big and dramatic as yours, but and I want to just say your experience is not going to be mine. I just have like my visions are big, like they are very visceral, very visual to me, but not everybody has that same thing. You might hear it, I'm clear. I'm kind of all of them at this point, like clairsentient, clairaudient. Clairsentient is feeling energy. Clairaudient is hearing it. Sometimes I do hear it. And then there's clear, what's the other one? Like the most obvious one, where you see it. So I'm totally blanking out. So, depending on how you get your messages, depending how you are feeling, and this will evolve. It wasn't always so flowery and dramatic in my world. That really hasn't come into play since the last couple of years. So I want to remind you that if it's not as, big and dramatic as the way that I explained my experience, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong, or it doesn't mean it didn't work. It just means that you had your own experience. But what I did notice in you all sharing a different, some emailed, some messaged me on Instagram. What I did notice is everybody had their own experience, and it was still profound. It was still like, I did it. You did it, which means if you intentionally and consciously brought in the process, it is done. It is done, right? So we just have to trust that. Since what that was Thursday, so there's been 2 days since the last peace talks, and for me, it's just been like quiet. And I kind of wanted this like change in personality. I think like I wanted this fiery red phoenix energy to be like in my everyday life. Yeah, like kind of like Pepe, but it hasn't been that. And I was literally up until like I do these at 4:00 my time here in Albania, and up until 1:30, like I still didn't have the message coming through for us today. And I was like, what's going on? Like where's this fiery new spirit, this new archetype, this new soul that came in, and then all of a sudden it just kind of started coming through, but it was very gentle, it was very subtle as it came through. So my expectations were like were not exactly like what's unfolding here. So I want to read the message to you, and then we're going to break it down a little bit, because I can kind of explain, like, as it was coming through, I was connecting it to my own experience and understanding more. Pepe, I am live on YouTube. You cannot be doing that. He's such a little I can't say that word because YouTube will slap my hand, but he's so cute though. Okay, so the message that came through is rooted. So I'm going to read it to you like I have been, because it's working. So it says, "Dear one, we are continuing to support you in your rooting process into the Earth Star chakra of the new Earth. This is the higher reality you are being evacuated to." And if you didn't read that one, is that's a peace talks from two peace talks ago. I forget what the title is, but if you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. So far, you have uprooted your consciousness from the inverted matrix, and as you prepared to be replanted, you were guided to update or respawn your soul's electric charge in order to root down into the higher reality of Gaia, of the fifth dimensional Gaia. Once your respawn process has taken place, you will require an integration period to nurture the higher energy of the consciousness. Commune with it, get to know it, have conversations with it, understand your and its communication style. Nature will also help you integrate these energies. What you may not understand yet is that a rather radical expansion has taken place, and it will take some time to calibrate and ground these energies down. Once that is complete, you are then rooted into the new earth and ready for your transport to arrive for evacuation. This transport will be made clear in a moment of revelation and or illumination. It will be a 0 point moment with no distractions. It is a moment between breaths when all is made clear. It is the truth of your unique existence. It is the truth of your unique existence. A freedom point many have strived to ascertain for lifetimes, yet have also run from for most of those lifetimes. The truth of who you are can be freeing and can be scary. This moment will be only a moment, yet because you are in the light of that moment, it will feel infinite because life force energy will flow so abundantly. The experience will be impossible to share. It is unspeakable because there is no words to translate it. You will know what your reason is for living, and you will live it so expansively, everything will be new. No one will understand this experience within you but you. As more of you reach your illumination moment, all you will have to say to another is revelation, and your souls will be bonded forever. You will both understand this experiential moment in consciousness, the massive expansion that came from it, and how that moment unifies you both instantaneously without knowing exactly what that moment was for the other. You will both know it was a transformational, unspeakable moment in that time that transported you to a higher reality in space. You became a working, breathing, multidimensional being and completely transcended the fourth dimensional realm of existence into the fifth dimensional new earth. Just as a newly potted plant has that same moment in time, when first replanted, it must rest, nurture itself, and gather energy, just like the moment in time after your respawning process. There comes the now moment when the roots dig in to the fresh soil. They are rooted, and the physical plant takes off in higher growth, blooming for all to see. Radical expansion in all ways. Get ready, rising phoenix. As they used to say, sweet soul, because my last little sweet soul was, and so was yours. We were all sweet, but now we're rising. Get ready, rising phoenixes, for radical expansion is about to take off in the most unspeakable of ways. We love you dearly. We so look forward to seeing you on the other side of revelation. We love you, Leo. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water, because that's when it came through. I was like, okay, I get this, but I've read it twice now, and the more I read it, the more energy I feel. So I think there's a lot more to this that I want to kind of pick this apart a little bit. There's some deeper. We need to read between the lines on this. All right, so before I get to that, I this is the last announcement and the idea that I had after receiving a few of your messages, because as I'm reading your messages of these processes, I'm finding that they're very, very similar, but in different ways. And as I was reading one and then reading another and watching the videos that y'all are sending, I'm like, man, they need to chat. Like, if everybody could see what everybody's doing and like the experiences, I think you won't feel it. The other thing that I constantly hear, I'm like, I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I feel so lonely, right? And part of earlier this year, I had the Ascension Bank. And the Ascension Bank, was the idea of it was for us to commune and talk about what we were uncovering and what we were tuning into on the daily tune-ins. But I did it like everybody else does their online communities. Come on to Patreon, and it's $20 and everybody comes in. And we had a great place. And then that the Patreon group just didn't work. I didn't like the platform and for community based. So I moved the platform, called it Storehouse Social, because the storehouse is the storehouse within. When we live from our spiritual essence, we are sustained and we are taken care of from the storehouse of good. That is the karmic storehouse of good. And when we are tapped into our spiritual essence, we are tapped into the storehouse, and it starts to funnel in all the ways that we are sustained. And we live from that. When we do our work, our spiritual work, the storehouse takes care of us. So I moved the platform to Storehouse Social, but I was in a hiatus in the summer. So but I did the same thing. You come to Storehouse Social, it's $20 a month. But like, still, I was like, no, that's not it. I just kept getting at that. This isn't it. This isn't it. So as I'm reading your responses about what happened with your respawn processes, I'm like, man, we need a place to share this stuff. And then the ding came. I got it. I have the space for us. It is called Storehouse Social, because although I took out the paid stuff, I still have the platform. I'm not paying for the upgraded, like all the bells and whistles. It's a free space for us to go. How I'm looking at it is this, y'all. This is the honest truth. I want nothing more than to surround myself and have conversation with people who can talk about this stuff, because I have walked this journey alone for a long time, and I've had people, bits and pieces of people along the way, and we've connected, but then I move on, and it just, like, you just move on, and in physicality. However, I have I have a dream of having a communal space, a storehouse, a physical storehouse to invite people into, sit around a campfire and talk about these bigger conversations, these more advanced conversations. And until I have that physical space, I craved to create a space online. But if I were to invite you into my home, into my physical space, I would not make you pay to come into it. If I resonate with you and I'd say, hey, come over and sit at my table and let's have this conversation, I wouldn't be like, give me $20 first, like, that's not who I am. And that's not what this is about for me. What I want is to be like, dudes, I had this crazy experience last night. I want to tell you about it. I'm not going to post that stuff on traditional social media. And here's the other thing with traditional social media at this point, and things like Telegram, because there's communities on there, but I cannot stand how that system works. It doesn't work to build community and to have conversation. But here's the big thing that I have with that. Those traditional social media, other than just kind of being cesspools of darkness, they're built on platforms by dark beings, A, and B, it's predatory. It's easy. It's parasitic to me. And what I mean by that is I have had, people who in this last post I did with Pepe on Instagram, I was like, oh, he's going from street dog to, to America. And I have had a couple of people who've reached out who have had zero interest in knowing anything else about my journey, but saying, I'm so interested in your journey. Where are you going? Tell me what's going on. I'd love to hear more. And I'm like, I invite you to peace talks all the time. Like, that's where you're going to learn. But there are those who want to see and partake in the light as we grow in our light. There are those who want to partake in the light of our life and want to be with us when it's exciting. But when we are in the deeper depths, they can't handle that. And so they don't want anything to do with it. So what I'm noticing is people love my vulnerability. They want to see like, oh, what's going on? Oh, she's growing, or not necessarily. That's not what they think. Like, oh, I don't want to say anything because that feels dark. That feels, not dirty, but that just feels dark. But as soon as like, I'm expanding and life is good, they want to be part of that. That is parasitic energy. Those are people who want to feed off of the light of who we are, but they don't want to be with us when we choose to go deep, because they won't do it themselves. So I am not. And here's the thing. Here's my new rising. It's a sassy soul that came in. I am no longer sharing this with just everybody. I am going to start to disappear a little bit around the personal aspects of my life. My light's going down. It's going down fast too. I'm about to go into, the world that I have worked really hard to reconstruct, to get healthy. And that world is with my kids. And I used to post a lot about, my kids and stuff, but I'm not doing that anymore, because that's the world I've worked really hard, and I've gone deep and dark and wanting to share this whole world with them, and in a healthy way. So all of a sudden, I'm not going to come back and splatter them all over social media. I'm going to share that with my personal community. I am going to share that with those I sit around my table with. Those are going to be my true friends. They're going to be the ones that know my kids and what's happening with my kids and how we are evolving as a family. It's not going to be on social media. It's going to be on social media, an invitation to come to peace talks. And what's going to be embedded in peace talks? The invitation to become part of my table, my space on my home on the internet, where people can come into my home and they can learn about my personal life, because you come here and you commune with me on these peace talks. So what I'm offering here is a place to come and visit called Storehouse Social. I've made it private. You can't find it. You can't search it and just come in. I'm not putting it in the description of these videos, inviting everybody in. The only way you get the invitation is to come into the peace talks, and we have some serious conversation about what's happening in the world, and we're coming together and finding our own peace. And the people who come here are the ones that resonate, who are doing the work to come into peace, who are doing the work to create a relationship with me. And I want a relationship with you that transcends, DMs on Instagram. So for those of you who sent me, your beautiful personal things, I want to have a conversation with you that's deeper than what Instagram can offer me, because it limits my message to you. I want to take this conversation into Storehouse Social. The storehouse is my physical space of sharing my light and my space and my home. And the social part is where we can have fun, and it's kind of works like Facebook. But if you want to come into my home and accept this and share your experiences, and we can truly build a community, I'm not going to charge you for it. The only energy given is to be here on this community, on these daily tune-ins. I'm sorry, we're not doing daily tune-ins, the peace talks. And when you give that in that energy, and you want to continue the conversation and share, and we can start piecing our perspectives together and make a whole puzzle together in community, we can do that on Storehouse Social. So if you would like to have the invitation, you can stick it in the comments, say me or whatever. I will email you or send you a message through however we've been communicating with the link. And it is you do have to put your name in, and because it's still online, but it's free. It's my place, and it's invite only. I'm only inviting those who come to this table. So that's what it is. I didn't want to just say this in the announcements. Oh, I had this place for us to commune, because it just sounds like everything else. I wanted to explain it in a way so we can keep the parasites out who aren't willing to do the work but want to feed on the energy of what we are doing. For those of us who are doing the work, and for those of us who are doing the work, we can be a support to each other. When one of us is down and someone else is feeling up, we can come into the storehouse, and we can share of our hearts safely, and we can share vulnerably, and we can be there, and we can share our lives, we can share our kids, we can ask for help, ask for support. And this is the place that I am offering that. I'm offering myself to you because you're here. So let me step down off of that soapbox. I'm just like done with just, with the parasites who want a piece of your, the fun journey, but they don't want to do the work. So anyway, that sounds judgy. Maybe it is a little bit, but I was really surprised at the messages that I got all of a sudden from people I hadn't heard from for ages, being like, "Oh, where you going? Let's get together when you get back." I'm like, "Hell no, I'm not getting together. I'm gonna my boundaries are thick now. It's gonna take a little bit to get through them." I want to go back to this message, because here's the thing. Here's why I think this kind of space is going to be required. I think we are moving into these last, I've been saying last 2.5 months, these last 2 months, November and December of this year, are really going to be supercharged in a lot of different ways. We'll see it in our world. We'll see it in our individual worlds as well. So I want to break this down a little bit. Because I think I want to make sure we're all on the same page as far as what this is saying. So we have uprooted, you have uprooted your consciousness from the inverted matrix. So we've pulled out of that inverted thinking and the ties that the manipulative, deceptive ties that we've been taught, the beliefs and all that, and we kind of see the truth in that. And we've been working all of this healing, and coming into the light has taken us out in our consciousness, unplugged it. But we've all been kind of spinning in between worlds. Like, we haven't rooted in a new world, and yet we're slowly, or we have slowly, and now we're like getting further and further away from that other world. So we're between worlds, which is why many of us feel alone. Which is why many of us feel like we're kind of, we don't have, there's nothing, we're not grounded into anything, and that's a really uncomfortable place to be. As you prepare to be replanted, you were guided to update or respond. That was the last peace talks. So now we are moving into a more supercharged, higher reality of us. And now the light has gone on, that now we can replant. We can replant these roots into the higher dimensionality of Gaia, of Earth, into her Earth Star chakra. So the theme for November here is for us to root into our Earth Star chakra, which is actually rooted in the higher reality of Earth, the fifth dimensional new Earth. So we are now getting rooted. We have been replanted. Once we respawn and we rise into our next archetype, that archetype then has the energy within it. It is of that fifth dimensional frequency, and its job is to start bringing us up more and more. But when we first respawn, it can't go to full, to full charge, because it would what's it called when like electric it's it would like zap us, it would be too much. So what the job of this new archetype, with this new soul, is to expand and expand in gradual, but it's going to expand gradually but fast, so it's going to be like big, gradual for it, but it is now rising, and this is going to be the rising of energetics, of frequency that we are in for the next 2 months. So just like once what the whole point of this is, when a plant is rerouted and up potted into a bigger pot, it kind of goes limp for a minute because it's like in a new world. And that's how I see like this anticlimactic few days since I did the respawn process. I've just been like, this is it. I don't realize yet what is within me, and I've tried to connect with this new soul, but I haven't like clicked in. I haven't been like, oh, I love you, we're best friends, like I don't have it's new and it's unfamiliar. So I've tried to tap into it, but I haven't gotten a whole lot of messages until this message came through. And I think it really is that point when you replant and the plant kind of goes limp for a minute because it doesn't realize what it's got. It's got to just get familiar with its new territory. So we are having to get familiar with this new energy that came in. But once that plant digs into and it's like, ooh, fresh soil, this is kind of nice, then all of a sudden it perks up and it starts growing really quickly and it blossoms really fast. So that's the process that we're in now. So these next couple of weeks of November, as we're rooting into that Earth Star chakra of the fifth dimensional Earth, we're going to be coming into more and more relationship with this new soul, with this new archetype. And all of a sudden, I think, it feels like we're going to get to that point where we just kind of, we click in, we not latch on, but we click in to it clicks in us. And all of a sudden the revelations come, the illuminations come, we rise, we rise, we rise. And it's just one moment after another where we're getting new information, new data, and it's showing us more and more quickly who we are and why, like what our individual meaning is and purpose is for being here. So I like, that's kind of what I didn't expect after that, the big flowery incoming process and experience of having this new soul come in. It was just kind of like, meh. It was very anticlimactic these last couple of days and actually really quiet. But now I realize it's the time for us to be nurturing. I was very tired. I did have to nap, and a couple of you said that as well. So you were like, everyone said, I felt really tired. I felt exhausted after it. I did too. And I have, throughout the last couple of days, I have slept really hard and had like really, weird, like crazy dreams too, that I don't really remember. They weren't like, at the time I knew I was dreaming, I was paying attention, but I was like, I don't get it. So I just like released them, knowing it was just, something was being done. And even though I don't understand it, it's okay. So what we don't understand is the radical expansion has taken place. And this is what I think is interesting too. Once that is complete, once we, we get rooted, once that is complete, we are ready for transport, for our transport to arrive for evacuation. So when I first got the message about evacuation, like, is it for real? Like, is it really a jet, or like, what does this look like? But this transport will be clear in a moment of revelation and illumination. And, that's the point. I think that's the flashpoint for us, to like where everything becomes clear. And yet the more that we sit in, when is this illumination coming? When is this revelation coming? We are just reaffirming it's not here, which pushes it away. So that's what they're talking about, is you have to be in that 0 point moment. You have to be in 0 point, no distractions of thought being like, when is it coming? When will I know? And when's all this, like, when's the truth going to drop? And that when that truth drops, it's only going to drop when we are in a peaceful moment, which is why it talks about being in nature, allowing nature. Because once we go into nature, it just is it takes us out of all of the thought. It just immerses us in that high vibrational fifth dimensional um, frequency. So if you're like me and you're in a place where you can't really get it, there's not a whole lot of peace. We've got to hold it for ourselves. We have to hold it for ourselves. And that has been the work that I've been in, day in and day out, with my external reality being very chaotic and not a whole lot of access, not any really access to nature in a peaceful way. I've just had to find that peace, and I've done it a lot by journaling, and watching things on YouTube that kind of help me to help soothe me. I've been doing a lot of meditations with the 432 hertz meditations. You can go to YouTube and just Google 432 hertz, and that's the frequency of the earth, basically. So it just helps to kind of soothe and calm the mind a little bit. So the other thing that I love too is it talks about that moment in time is going to be unique for each of us when that truth drops, and we were like, oh, I get who I am. Like, I don't know what that's going to be like, because I feel like I know who I am. So this whole idea, it's very of this moment in time, this revelation. It's there's an anticipation about it. There's an excitement about it, for like, what is that going to be like? Like, I don't even know. And yet, being in the I don't know is exactly where we're supposed to be, right? Like, if we're in the know and we're comfortable, that moment's not going to come. We have got to be in the space of, I have no idea what this means. I have no idea how it's going to go down, but I'm at peace with it because I know it's going to be an evolutionary moment in time. And just like we've been talking about the waves of this flash coming in for people, it's going to be waves of this moment coming in for each of us. So when we meet someone else and they say, we'll just know in resonance when we meet someone, and we're like automatically resonant, and we could say revelation, and that person says, yeah, right, holy crap. We will know in that moment through resonance that we have both experienced that moment. And that is when our communities start coming together. That is when we start finding the people. We're not lonely anymore. We aren't feeling alone, because the physical manifestation of these people are going to start coming together, and our communities are going to be assembled. And what's beautiful also with the Storehouse social space, I believe, is when we come together. One of the things that happened in the Ascension Bank is we came together, and even though I let go of the platform, that community still, like, there were these pockets of people in the Ascension Bank that stuck together, and they got together, like they did road trips and got together and met in person. That's what I see for the Storehouse social. All of us, we might be in different parts of the world, but we're going to come together in consciousness, and we're going to come together in support and community. And eventually, like, someone's in New Zealand, because I got a message from someone in New Zealand sharing their experience. I want to be like, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to, like, Peace Talks is coming to New Zealand, and we start coming together. And as we have these moments of revelation, we share them on, in our communal space, in Storehouse Social. And at that point, we're coming together to be like, oh my God, this is what my experience was. And because we are in a higher consciousness, we can hold each other in the excitement of that and be like, well done, tell me more. And we start piecing. As we start piecing these experiences together, our consciousnesses expand, and where two or more are gathered, the more we expand, the more of these revelations will come in. We will create the energetic vortex. And when we have an energetic vortex of a higher frequency, we start pulling in more and more light, which means more and more light and more expansion. So this is like, really, there's a higher intention that's happening with this idea that I've had, or this guidance to put a community together online. I was just doing it the way that we're supposed to do it in the 3D world, charge people. And yes, I got to pay for this place, but I don't know. I'm not in this for the money part. I'm in this for the energy part, for us to just create, to get this world activated, to get this world lit up so we can all ascend to where we then support each other. Money isn't the thing because we all support each other. We live in community together, and everyone has a part at the table, and we're not working to live, we are living to work amongst each other. And that community is going to be all across the globe because we are already setting that up in Storehouse Social. And that's how the support and the energy vortex starts to get created, by us just sharing our light with each other and piecing all of this process together. I hope you understand that. So I think I've gone through everything that I thought was interesting. But the last part here is where it says, in the it's now moment, when their sign off, like this is where I feel really big energy, and these are just words, but I feel a really pertinent, imminent energy here where it says, "Get ready, rising phoenix, for radical expansion is about to take off in the most unspeakable of ways." Unspeakable is like, I can't put words to it. So that's pretty big. It's not like it was so awesome. Like those are words. It's going to be beyond that. It's going to be mind blowing, unspeakable ways is how I'm understanding this. When I was writing this, my heart was like palpitating. Like it was, and that's kind of where I see my new archetype of the rising phoenix in this space. And it was pulsating. It was pulsating. It was like, get ready. So I don't know, like days, months, I have no idea, but it's just get ready and stay in that 0 point, stay in the peaceful moment, because an expansion is coming. And for us, it's going to be an expansion of light, and it's going to be unspeakable. That's exciting. And I want to be sharing that with the people who understand what we're talking about. That stuff's not going to be going on Instagram. I'm not going to be taking selfies from my transported evacuation and sharing with all to see. I'm going to be sharing it with you. And I'd love for you to invite you to share with me so that we can understand and be in resonance as we're sharing. So you trust that what you are sharing is being held in a heart and not being, not being parasitically like sucked out of you. This is a sacred process that we're in, and I want a sacred space to share it now. So if you want to join me in my little table, all you have to do is just bring your energy. That's it. That's all you have to bring. You do have to enter your name and email address to come in. But other than that, you get to stay, and we get to share really vulnerably and joyfully. And this is where we're going to celebrate together. Okay. So, hey, Tarla, I talked about you. I don't know if you heard that. Hello, everyone in Toronto. Kat says, recalibrate. That is what I have felt this week after getting over the flu. I've had several. There's been you're like well, you were one actually. I think 4 people have, I know personally have the flu. So there is definitely, and isn't like the flu is kind of like the parasitic stuff. It's coming out, this light is removing the parasites from us energetically as well. And the word parasite has come up a few times. Like from my external world, I actually sat earlier today and I did an energetic process to clear out the parasites. When I got those messages of people saying, "Oh, let's get together," I'm like, so you can take my light and not do the work? No, So what I know is our consciousness is being raised to cleanse the parasitic energetic sucks, and they're also being cleansed out of our bodies as well. So I certainly feel different, perhaps causing my respawn. Yes. I had envisioned part of my life totally different than what it is now. With the respawning, I realized that I can have what I visioned, and I'm working on that. Not going to be easy, but today I start. Yes. Hi, Liza. Yes, Liza, we're going back to Storehouse Social and Mary. I know it's just like we're done here, but we're reconvening again in a different way, so thanks for your patience on that. But I kept feeling like, no, like we gotta be able to talk about this stuff. And it's not, this isn't a conversation. This is cool, having the chat, but I want it to be, I want to hear your voice talk about this stuff. Like receiving your videos was so cool because I got to see your faces for the first time for most of you, except for your profile picture. And I got to hear your voice. I'm like, that's what she looks like. That's how she sounds. And I got to hear kids' voices in the back, and you were apologizing for that. But I'm like, oh my God, I want to know I want to know your life. Like, bring the chaos. I bring the chaos of these two stupid dogs all the time. I call them stupid out of love. I love them so much. So like, I want to know your kids, and like, we don't, always want to share that. We like, but in a space that's safe. And I'm going to keep the space sacred. It's not going to be a marketed thing. I'm not going to put it on Instagram being like, come to my, my online thing, The only way is if you resonate enough to come into these peace talks and listen to 50 minutes worth of me jabbering. If you want to, if you like it enough and you want to partake in this conversation even more, you'll find embedded in here the invitation. So that's how it's going to work. Miss Liza, sending you love and hugs. I was late, so I missed the details. I need to chat with you. Okay, let's chat. Like, I'm totally ready to chat. So that is all I have tonight. I did have a little rant in there, and I appreciate that, but it was really, the visibility of how I think as our light expands, how people are going to want a part of that. They're going to want a part of the light that we are, even more so. And yes, we are here to give it. But there's also, there's a give and a take as well. So this is where our discernment is really key and critical. Our awareness of, each person that's approaching us to not get light, but to be a part of our light. Like, this is where our discernment, because I know for me, I've attracted many people in my lifetime who were attracted to my light. But what ended up happening is when I moved on, then they went, they couldn't hold the light themselves, and they got mad that I left. They got mad that I pulled away and like physically moved and like didn't really, stay in touch, because I was out of resonance at that point. And that's how I have learned that, oh my gosh, there are some people that are just around to pull from your light, but they can't hold it themselves. And I didn't have the discernment, and I didn't have the boundaries to understand that. But as I've seen new people come in all of a sudden in these last couple of days saying, let's get together, I'm like, oh, now I see what's happening. So I have learned that lesson, and I'm here to, it sounds bitchy and it sounds judgmental, and it's not. This is where we learn to really hold this light sacred. So I'm holding it sacred, and I'm setting up a place that is just a sacred space for us to commune and to keep this conversation going. So reach out to me. I will give you the link. And so much love to you all. I'll see you on the next Peace Talks on Tuesday, which is the full moon. Oh my gosh, it's election day and the full moon lunar eclipse. It's a really big day. It's going to be interesting. And I also think it's very much coinciding with the power of these messages saying, illumination, revelation is coming in a lot of different ways. So that's what we are being prepared for. So I think we've got some excitement coming up. So we shall see. So much love to you all. Mwah. Have a good one. Bye.